Hello, everybody. My name is Joseph, and right now I'm responsible for Fiberplex in EMEA region. Uh, so let's start it. Okay, so today I'm going to speak about next generation hybrid networks. Before I started, yes, if you would like to place any question, you can't see the screen. Okay. Now, do you see the screen? Yes, I hope so. Okay. So today's agenda. Before I started, I have to tell you something. You can ask questions on the right hand side or the left hand side of the panel, and Tanya at the end of the presentation, Tanya, my colleague from Switzerland, she will read out your question and I will answer it, or we will notify it and answer it later. So today agenda, why fiber and why Fiberplex, what is our concept with our devices, how do we use voice over fiber, some kind of networking and transmission activities, how WDM data transmission works, and modular networking with a lot of examples. So, short story of Fiberplex. Fiberplex is established in 1987. For secure fiber connections. The first client was the US government, and after we expand our portfolio to international clients and other clients, right now we have more than 200 fiber optic conversation unit and transport unit in our portfolio off the shelf. And what is our aim is to help you to expand your network, to elevate your network easily without any kind of big modifications. If you need some sort of a specialized product, because of our governmental background, we can make customized product easily. Yes, in 2011, we were over 100 million US dollar, and from 2017 of October, Fiberplex became the brand of Path Electric. Okay, so why fiber? It's a very important question. We could say it's a future-proof technology. Why? First of all, is the security. When we are speaking about security, it means if you use a simple copper wire, it will always radiate out a lot of data out of your network by the copper line because it's a conductive material. With fiber, there is no data radiation. Distance, if you are thinking about a simple Ethernet technology, it's around 100 meter, but with fiber you can go up to 120 kilometer. Immunity, because fiber optic cable is a non-conductive material, you don't have to worry about any kind of electrical or radio interference. Sustainability, the main part of the fiber cable is silica and sand, which is available literally everywhere on Earth. The bandwidth, if you see a modern network, it's around 10G or a bit more, but with fiber you can easily go up to 1 petabyte. If you go to the cost, if you see the cost of the copper cable in the last 10 years, it's always increasing, but the fiber cable is nearly the same. And isolation, yes, you don't have to care about any kind of surge protectors because it's a non-conductive material, and the transparency is one of the biggest key of our technology. We are in layer 0. We are in below the physical layers because we are transforming signals. Okay, this is a market research from Border Intelligence. This shows how the fiber optic cable market is growing year by year. In 2017, nearly from the whole world, the 1/4 was happened in Europe, and it was 6.85 billion US dollar. But as you see in 2023, it will be around 30 million billion US dollar, so it will be doubled, and it's only for fiber optic cables. So all the end devices on both ends of the fiber cables will be appear. This is our product families. The FOI series and the TD series. FOI means fiber optic isolation. The main difference between the FOI and TD series is the is the packaging. The FOI series has mission critical packaging. It's generally used by government, defense, intelligence companies, and broadcasting markets. And the TD series is the commercial, industrial level, and the public sectors, mainly used by. Um, yes, so we have FOM series. It's almost exclusively for defense markets, so I don't want to tell it, but we have this solution right now. Okay, WDM and WDP technology, it's active and passive wavelength division multiplexing. The main reason is how to combine multiply optical signals into one single pair of fiber. I will let you know how it's working. And the last one is the light wiper. This is mainly for Pro AV. If you are familiar with snake technology and inside event technology, you know what is fiber snake. We have this technology, and we have a very specialized product. It's patent protected, and it's a waveguide filter. It's a VGF. By that, you can make secure the room for defense and intelligence. A lot of hospital application, for instance, MRI, X-ray rooms, testing measurements, and anechoic chambers. Okay, and the seventh one is the SFP. We have a lot of special SFPs for video, and for instance, we have video optics, so you can make a full duplex network on only one strand of fiber. You don't need one pair of fiber, and we can make signal splitting and a lot of specialties with our SFP. Okay, what is our concept? Right now, we are supporting these technologies. We have a lot of other technologies what we support, but it's not really streamlined. So how is it working? If you are think about 10 years ago or 20 years or 40 years ago, how is it working? You have a one TV studio with a camera, and away from this studio, there is another studio when they are made all the editing. So from network point of view, how does it looks like? You have one camera here, you have a converter, another converter, and back to the studio. Why do you need this converter? Because the distance is much bigger than you have than the SDI capable of, on one hand, and 3G SDI means full HD. So how is it working in a real life? There is a camera, you have a converter here, and the fiber optic goes away. And on the other part of the network, there's a fiber converter and the studio. What is our concept? We have one base unit, only one base unit, but we have several different SFPs, what you can connect to it. So for instance, if today demand is full HD 3G SDI, you have to buy a 3G SDI SFP, and you have to buy a right fiber optic connector, fiber optic SFP to it to get this 3G bandwidth. But what happens if 10 years from now, or 2 years from now, the new broadcasting standard will be 4K, which is 12G SDI? If you see any of our competitors whom are not really focusing on this kind of modularity and flexibility, you have to buy a whole new unit. With us, you don't have to take care of it, because you just only have to change the SFPs. So for instance, in this case, you have to buy 2 new SFPs, which is a few hundreds of dollars, but that's all. You don't have to change your existing infrastructure. You don't have to change anything. You can use the same infrastructure again and again and again, and you just have to play with these SFPs. Which is, I think, much more closer to a lot of people. Is, for instance, nowadays the network is 1G, but I don't know, 2 years from now, the customer needs 10G. And you can simply expand your network just changing the SFPs. It's really, really easy. So these are the signals what we can support with these technologies. Okay, voice over fiber. When we are speaking about voice over fiber, if you see, we are supporting a lot of telco protocols. But when we are speaking about simple fiber, we can speak about paging system, notification system, live event, conferencing, broadcasting, anything else, where the real high definition, uncompressed audio is mandatory. So for instance, if you are thinking about a simple analog microphone to Dante network, which is which getting more and more important in nowadays conferencing technology and all speaker systems. What we have, for instance, we have this line level stereo audio network. By that you can transport 2 channels, so you can make Dolby surround or stuff like this. What is important, it has a very, very simple and easy to understand interface. there is direct terminal blocks in the front and diff switches. So if you can configure literally any options with these diff switches, why is it important? You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand how is it working. For instance, this support ultrasonic signaling, which could be familiar to you if you go to any museum, and in this museum you are going to go under a painting, and from above you you hear what is the story of the painting, and you don't but it's not so loud, so you can only hear in one direction. It's a directional speaker, and we support it. On the other hand, we support with this serial communication. Okay, so here, as you see, there is, for instance, one simple analog audio input, and you can easily connect it to our network via terminal blocks or connectors, and you can place it on fiber, and the other end you can get that as an HD audio. You can do the same with serial, or you can do the same with simple discrete input. So it has dry contact relays inside. For instance, if you have this push button, you push this button, on the other end of the technology, the lamp will turn on or turn off. Depends on how do you control this discrete input. I think this is a very typical application. For instance, in school, public places, when you have one central unit, and for instance, somebody would like to make an announcement in the building, he just simply push the right button, and it depends on which button is related to which device. He can send direct messages to one unit, or for instance, if he changes it to broadcasting mode, he can make an announcement for the whole building. And very cool in this application, for instance, if you have a push button here, because we have relay contacts, we can identify it and the system can handle it. So for instance, if you made an announcement for XYZ come to my office or stuff like this, someone can go into this unit and push a button and speak back, why shall I go there, etc., etc. This is another very cool application with that. It's an intercom loop mode. So for instance, you have a lot of intercoms all over the building, and you have one centralized people who would like to hear it, and you can speak with an operator via simple intercom, or much more particular or another very important case when you have an emergency pole. And somebody goes to the emergency pole, pushing the button, and he can get help from the operator easily. Okay, this is another one. If you see if you go to any press center or conference center or press conference or stuff like this, it's very often in hotels, in conference rooms, where there are one big conference room, and in some cases they separate this conference room from each other. Okay, so you have these separated conference room here, and you can make the speaker system separately from one studio, or in case when you are giving the whole system, the whole room without any separation, you can make the whole speaker system without any problem. Okay, this is another great equipment. It has 4 Ethernet port and 2 SFP port. By that, you can use it typically an FTTO or FTTX application, fiber to the office, fiber to the home, etc., etc. It's very important. These 4 ports are 1G, and it supports VLAN. Sorry. So, for instance, with this device, you can interconnect your Dante network. If you have a Dante input, for instance, here a microphone, a Dante capable microphone, you can interconnect it on fiber, and you can go up to the Dante controller, and there go back to the Dante I/O output, for instance. But because it has doubled SFP options, you can daisy chain this network. So for instance, if you have one input or multiply input and multiply output, you can control everything from one Dante, and because these networks are intercommunicating with each other on fiber, the latency will be around 0.
Joseph?
Hi?
May I quickly just interrupt you? Yeah. Because we have one question from Dalibor, and I think this fits perfect to what you are explaining right now. So Dalibor is asking, you have mentioned Dante. Does TD7280 can be used like some kind of Dante gateway for legacy equipment?
No, for Dante you have to audinate has a website, and on the website they had some sort of an equipment. So for instance, if you have a simple microphone with an XLR connector, from them you can buy a special equipment which makes it Dante capable.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
so it's very important in the most common technologies. So for instance, HDMI or Full HD or anything else, we are selling kits. We have kits. Why is it important? Because you don't have to take care, you don't have to configure out the whole system. Because in this kit, it contains everything which is mandatory for Dante network extension. So we have a Dante network extension kit, and you don't have to take care about how is it working, what kind of power supply or stuff like this you need. Everything will be included in one package. This is a very common example when you have an AV over IP network with a Dante controller, and for instance, if you have 4 ceiling speakers here and 3 microphones, it's really hard to make all the echo cancellation. Because, you know, if the speaker is away from this microphone and the distance is different, the voice will reach in a different time, so it will create echo. But the Dante can handle it if the latency between the speakers and the microphones is enough small. So if you see, here is how is it connect. You have opportunities to connect 4 Ethernet and two SFP with fiber optic each other. Okay, how video transmission is working. Yeah, you can use video transmission in several industries. These are just a few of our videos, but what we support, but I think these are the most common video technologies. As again, we have kits, for instance, for 3G, SDI, SD, SDI, and everything else, and you don't have to worry about anything is missing from your order. You can use it on the field without any problem. This is a very simple digital signage application. So for instance, if you go up to any big shopping malls or stuff like this, you will see a lot of screens which show totally the same image. How is it working? You have one HDMI source. At the first node, you just simply place your HDMI into an HDMI connector on one of the SFPs, and it will transfer it to fiber optic. And all other nodes, what you've created, you can simply just reach with a fiber optic, and you can get an HDMI output of the system. Because the HDMI doesn't have receive lag, only the transmitting data, so you can use daisy chain again. It's very, very common, typically for big venues when you would like to show the same image on each and every display. You can do it easily. You don't have to think about any kind of content management, because only you made one image here and it will appear on each screen nearly on the same time. Because we have a special SFP portfolio. For instance, if you have 2 cameras in one place and you would like to connect it on fiber to the studio because of the distance, latency, and so on and so forth, we have a specialized SFP, for instance, for 2 transmitting. And in that case, the SFP has 2 BNC connectors, and with these 2 BNC connectors, you can connect 2 SDI signal. This is another easy security example. For instance, if you have a big fence around your building, it's easily over 100 meters, and you would like to make the whole video surveillance on IP-based network, what can you do? You have to connect your IP cameras, but because of the distance, it's really hard to create one simple Ethernet network. But if you go on fiber, you can easily interconnect all of these, and at the end, it will arrive to a DVR, digital video recorder, and you can do any kind of image recording or rewind it, or as you wish. Okay, WDM. This is a wavelength division multiplexer. We have an 8-channel and a 16-channel version. Each of the channels can handle from 155 megs to 3G. So it means if you have 8 or 16 channel, it could be 24 or 48 gigabit per second. What you can do, what you can send on a single fiber. Okay, how is it working? You have these SSPs. We have 16 or 8 channel. You have placed the slot here, so you can place these SFPs inside, and each of the SFPs has a remote, has a receive and a transmit line. So the transmit line simply goes into an optical mux. This is a prism, and all of these signals will go together on the same medium, on the same strand of fiber without any problem. You don't have to worry about, because inside this network we are made some sort of a wavelength conversation. For instance, if you have a 1610 wavelengths with a 1320 wavelengths, you can simply use the same medium on transmit and on the receive side too. Okay, we made this application for a Danish company because they are really looking for something which is modular and flexible. So in that case, they had 4 MEDI I/O, 4 Dante, and 6 MEDI optic I/O, and they would like to transfer it from building A to building B. It's over 200 meters. They can easily do it. What was the real value of our product? They said, okay, today we need 5, 5, 6, but maybe tomorrow we need 2 MEDI, 10 Dante, and 4 MEDI optic. Because of we are using a simple SFP, they just have to remove these SFPs, for instance, a Dante SFPs, and place another MEDI optic SFP very easily. Okay, this is another application. It's in a parking lot, but in airports too. Because, for instance, if you go out to the airport, there are everywhere at least 3G SDI cameras. And these 3G SDI cameras, the security, airport security can see the color of your nail, for instance, or stuff like this. And it's a very, very big distances, so they are using several times WDM technology. It's really easy. They can simply use any of these cameras, and because the WDM technologies is totally separated each other from every channel, you don't have to worry about if one of your camera is broken or anything else happens, because all of your camera will work flawlessly. Okay, for WDM, we have an extension technology, is a TDO-ADM. TDO-ADM is just from the mux, the fiber line. It can get out only one wavelength. So, for instance, how is it working? You have one specific wavelength, and these one specific wavelengths you can remove from the whole single mode fiber. And you can do it on transmit and on the receive line too. What is it good for? For instance, if you have a 10G network and you would like to interconnect it with another 10G network, but you don't want to create a new fiber line. You have an existing single mode fiber line. You have to check the wavelengths of these fiber lines, and with our extension with this TDO-ADM module, you can simply interconnect your network with another one and share the same bandwidth and the same medium, and you don't have to place a new cable. This is a very good example for TDO-ADM. You have one command center somewhere in the city, and for instance, you have a 120 kilometers line, and each 12 kilometers or 16 kilometers you have a train station, and you would like to interconnecting all of them with one central line. But what is the key inside? If you have each and every port has an own train station, it's very important, because these devices are totally passive. So it doesn't need any kind of power supply or stuff like this, which is very important because you have to close one of your train station, or there is a blackout or any error on the one train station, you can reach every other, because it doesn't need any kind of power supply, passive technology. This is another way so this is an example when they are using in a big railway station. How is it working? They make all the signaling and all the video surveillance and all the mass notification, public announcements, telecom, and they can use the same fiber network, the same fiber strand for the public access point, without any risk of somebody can attack your mission critical SCADA network, your signaling, your video surveillance, because these networks, because of the different wavelengths, are physically totally separated from each other. Okay, here is some example. For instance, this is an operating suite. This is an operating room where the surgeon is operating the patient, and here is the educational room. How is it working? Nobody would like to see in the surgery, I don't know, 20 young doctors who would like to know how is it working. So they have some HD cameras, they had some endoscope, sorry, they had a full speaker system with microphones, intercom speakers, etc. We have this chassis. In this chassis, you can easily place six of these TD series devices. You have two options. One of them, when in the front, there are neutrino D series connectors, and by that you can easily interconnect everything, all audio and video, into a surgical viewer room. Why is it important? Because in some cases they had a video mixer. So for instance, if they would like to see everything outside, they can change the video. They can be their own editor and see what they would like to see. But in some cases, for instance, the endoscope, you have to see, the doctor has to see, the surgeon has to see in the operating suite, and all the doctors here, young doctors, should see here. So we can split the image real time. You can see what others see, and it's a very, very good opportunity for education. And on the other hand, for instance, we use these waveguide filters. The reason was they don't want to see any kind of radio frequency noise, and with waveguide filter, you can clear out any kind of this noise. This is another good example. For instance, if you have a big venue where, for instance, Metallica or any other big celebrities or rock band can go there, there is a big problem. They had an own equipment, so they had own mixers, own LED displays, walls, lights, and everything else. But the speaker systems in the stadium is already fixed, and this speaker system is interconnected by single mode fiber. And if the celebrities has multi-mode fiber network, you cannot simply interconnect it and control all the speaker system and all other displays in the stadium or in the venue. You have to have a single mode to multi-mode fiber converter. With our base unit, by just changing the SFPs, you can do that. This is another very cool example. This is from Syracuse University. It's an old historical building, so one of the most important thing was they don't want to make big changes. The lowest footprint would be the best footprint. So how is it working? They already have some security cameras, which is a high-def security cameras. They had some sort of a loudspeaking system, and they had two tasks. One of them to create high-quality AV recording of performance on the stage, and they would like to broadcast it too. So they just put a simple fiber line. The fiber cable is very thin. They can put it under the carpet, under the ceiling easily without bigger works. They use BD optics, so they need only one line of fiber, which is full duplex in that case. And it was really easy to upgrade your network infrastructure and the next level where you can broadcast it. Hillsdale College is another great example. What is happening here? They are lack out of their network capabilities. So they have to make new fiber optic networks, but because of the WDM, they can reuse, they can multiply the capacity of the existing fiber network very easily. How is it working? They had one studio here, but they had an athletic center here. They had a basketball field here. They had another conferencing and staging room here. So what they do, they already had one fiber, but this fiber was around, I don't know, 10G or around that, and they would like to create new network. But they don't have to place new cables. They just have to change the end equipment. That is our concept. This is my favorite because my background is I came from the heavy manufacturing industry. So what is the application? If you have a power plant or any other plant or industrial building, there are a lot of PLCs on the field. You know, these controls all the technologies. because of some safety reasons, it cannot be secured. So you cannot make any kind of security between these two PLCs on the field. But today, because we are in the IIoT world and the Industry 4.0, everybody would like to evaluate their data. And if you think about any bigger corporation, they had an HQ somewhere, I don't know, in Europe, in US, and they would like to see each and every data, each and every measured data in their corporate network. But what's the problem? If I have a PLC which has no security protection at all, and I have to gather in these data and send it to the corporate network, what happens if a hacker finds this thread and find this line and can go back to your PLCs and override it and make a lot of malfunction problems? That's why we have a data diode application, and these data diode SSPs are really special because it has only transmitting line. It doesn't have receive line. So if the best hacker on earth find this network somehow, and he cannot go in because the physical layer is missing. So in the IIoT world, it's a physical protection. It cannot be override. This is another very simple application when you have one internet network here, a local area network, and you would like to extend it. For instance, 2 kilometers away, you buy a new building and you don't want to make anything else. You just place down a fiber optic cable, and with this fiber optic cable, you can interconnect it without no latency easily. This is another very cool application when you are thinking about this, a press room and the conference room and the control room. The control room, they made all the speaker systems and microphone and amplifying. And from the control room, they make the broadcasting. So how is it working? For instance, if somebody in the control room see, okay, we have to move this camera a bit, I don't know, left or right, or we have to zoom in, from their control panel, they can do it. But on the other hand, they are hearing what happened. And for instance, if the last row doesn't hear anything, they can use a remote amplifier, and they can make the amplification inside the press room. So by that they can prove everybody in the press room hears everything, and everybody in the end of the broadcasting, for instance, you at your home, will hear everything, and they can control it. So it's really hard to make any kind of to organize this network. This is a typical FTTO application with our end equipment, the FP1040. How is it working? You have local area network, you have one fiber here, and the fiber can daisy chain up to the next one, and each and every spot you can connect. You can connect 4 PCs, 4 Ethernet network via VLAN or as a simple switch. Please don't forget to subscribe to our LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube channels. All the new content will be available over there. So, is there any question?
So far, we don't have any additional questions, but maybe they will come later, as people can, of course, always send us an email to you, Joseph, or to me, and we will be more than happy to reply to it. And so feel free to contact us anytime.
Okay, thank you so much. Everybody have a nice day. Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.